Hi everyone, welcome back to our weekly Q&A. I'm Katie, and each week I spend some time answering the questions that you have submitted to us via YouTube and our website in order to help you get a better understanding of different college admissions topics. Remember that if you'd like to submit a question for us to answer in a future Q&A, you can drop that question in the comments below this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're the first one to see the video that maybe answers your question. Now, let's get started. Our first question for today is from Sebastian, who wrote in and wanted to know what traits colleges look for other than just leadership. Well, thank you as always for your question, Sebastian. You're absolutely correct that leadership is a top quality that admissions committees want to see evidence of on your college application, but it is not the only trait they're looking for. Here are 3 other characteristics that will make for a strong college application. The first, academic ability. Because colleges are first and foremost institutions of higher learning, your academic ability and aptitude are prime traits that will be reviewed on your application. There are a few different places that a committee will look for evidence of your academic ability. One of them is your high school transcript. Admissions committees will look to see what kind of classes you took, how well you did in those classes, and if any pattern emerged in your grades over time, such as getting more and more A's as school went on. This is where things like your GPA and class rank come into play. The other place where admissions committees will look for your academic ability is in your standardized test scores. At most schools, this will include the SAT or ACT, but at some it will also include SAT subject tests, and you may even choose to submit AP exam scores. Building a strong portfolio of academic success will always be one of the most important things you can do to impress college admissions committees. A second trait is initiative. Colleges understand that not all students have the same resources available to them in high school. After all, it of course would not be fair to deduct points from a student who didn't take IB classes if IB classes just weren't offered at his or her school. Similarly, not every student has the financial resources to enroll in college classes over the summer or participate in elite but costly summer programs. And that's where the concept of initiative comes in. Colleges want to see that you've made the most of the opportunities that were available to you in the context of your hometown, your high school, and even better, that you've worked to create your own opportunities where they did not exist before. So what does this actually look like in practice? Let's say you're interested in politics, but you go to a school in a pretty small town without any really political clubs or classes. Well, you might start your own Young Leaders Club or a chapter of a national club like Junior Statesmen of America, completing an independent study in the US government, or creating your own internship by shadowing a local politician. All of those things show your ambition and willingness to pursue that political interest, even if an obvious path to do so didn't really exist. Colleges want to accept students who will make the most of the opportunity presented by a college education, and there's no better way to show that you'll do that by making the most of your high school years. A third trait is community spirit. Colleges are a community, and they do actively seek students who will be positive contributors to their own community. This means, at the very least, having no major disciplinary infractions or other violations, but it goes beyond that when you actually give back to your own community. Starting a service project, running a fundraiser, contributing to activities, and generally being an active and positive member of your high school and your hometown are all great ways to highlight this trait. In addition, it's something that can be easily spoken to in your essays or in teacher recommendations, which can really flesh out that trait in your application. Thanks for writing in, and we hope that you will demonstrate one of these many things on your college apps. Our second question for today is from Lucy, who asked us, will I get into a selective school if I have good grades and a few really committed leadership activities? Hi Lucy, this is a great question. We often hear from students who want to know really precisely what they need to do in order to get into a selective school. The most common variant of this question are good grades and strong extracurriculars enough. Unfortunately, though we get asked this question all the time, there's just not an easy answer to it. While academic success and leadership and extracurriculars are definitely huge players in college admissions decisions, at the top colleges in the country, those alone are often not quite enough to get in. Personal qualities and who you are as a person are increasingly important metrics in the applications process. Although it might be more difficult to show on a piece of paper, being kind, caring, generous, and committed to something are all important factors in the admissions process. The increasing importance of character is due in large part to Harvard's recent Making Caring Common campaign, which aims to shift more emphasis on personal qualities and less on academic performance in the college admissions process. In short, many colleges are increasingly looking for students who strive to make their college community a better place. While extracurricular involvement is one way to highlight these positive personal qualities, personal essays and letters of recommendation are also an important way to demonstrate them. It's an area that you can't really fudge. It has to be authentic for your character to really shine through. You can get involved in several causes or activities during your freshman year, then pursue those that really resonate with you on a personal level, so that by the time you apply, your experiences are relevant to who you are and speak to an honest and authentic commitment. Another metric that colleges will look at is whether you are a specialized applicant or a more well-rounded applicant. Neither one is better. It just depends on where you're applying. You can get a better idea of what the specific colleges you're looking to apply to are looking for by asking yourself if the college itself or the particular program you're applying to is particularly specialized or if it's a bit more rounded. If you're applying to a really specialized college or program, there's a pretty high degree of likelihood that they're looking for candidates who have expressed at least some interest and aptitude in that particular field in the past. For example, if you want to study engineering at MIT, it would probably be a good idea to take some high-level STEM courses during high school to reinforce this interest and also take some relevant extracurricular activities. Similarly, if you want to study business at UPenn, you should probably demonstrate some classes and activities that are reflective of that goal. That being said, there are very few colleges that will overlook a student's failures in one area in favor of their specialized pursuits in another. For example, if you perform poorly in an English class or drop out of all of your activities after junior year in order to focus on your STEM curriculum, you're not going to come off as a student capable of succeeding in multiple fields, and you might even come out looking like someone who does not follow through on your commitments, which is not what you want. As you can see, the line between specialized and well-rounded is a bit difficult, but it's something that you should be keeping in mind as you develop your profile. Thank you for your question, Lucy, and we hope this answer helps to shed some light on just what selective colleges are looking for. For our third question, Allison wrote in with the question, I am a current sophomore and I'm wondering what I should be doing right now to be preparing for applying to college in a couple of years. Well, Allison, you're doing a great job thinking this far ahead, and there are definitely plenty of things that you can start doing now as a 10th grader or a sophomore to get ready for the college applications process. Here are our 5 top tips for 10th graders to prepare for school. Number 1 is to look for leadership opportunities. By now, you should have identified a few key extracurricular activities that align with your talents and interests. If you haven't, you should be thinking about which activities on your plate best showcase and demonstrate your skills. You should be devoting yourself to a few as opposed to spreading yourself too thin across many activities that aren't as important to you. And then you should start looking for leadership opportunities. You might figure out how to become an officer of a club, come up with a new club, or dedicate yourself to an independent activity. For instance, volunteering isn't a leadership position per se, but it shows independence and initiative, especially if you seek out and identify an opportunity on your own. Tip number 2 is to keep your grades up. If your freshman year grades weren't as high as you hoped, you don't need to worry too much. You can catch up. In fact, an upward grade trend, which is a steady rise in your GPA from one year to the next throughout high school, can actually be beneficial to your college application. However, particularly if your grades last year weren't excellent, it's really time to buckle down academically. Don't get complacent. Your grades matter more each year. Tip number 3 is to challenge yourself. You probably have more choice in courses this year than you did last year, so you want to make sure that you're maximizing your opportunities with APs, IB, and honors courses, depending on what's particularly available at your high school. You do not need to take every single AP class offered, but if you think you can handle the course load, you should try and take the AP version if possible. You should definitely pursue challenging courses in your specialty, the area in which you want to focus in college. For instance, if you're a math whiz and you want to be an engineer, that means the honors track for math and AP calculus should probably be part of your transcript. You should also explore your specialty through electives and additional but related courses. Tip number 4 is to gear up for and take standardized tests. Many schools offer the PSAT to sophomores. If your school is one of them, it's a good idea to take it now and then take it again in your junior year. Taking the PSAT will help you identify areas to work on for the real SAT, and it will help you learn how to actually prepare and study for the test. It's called the practice SAT for a reason. Taking the PSAT as a sophomore gives you a pretty low stakes form of practice. You'll probably take it again when you're a junior, and it only serves as the qualifier for the National Merit Scholarship that time as a junior. This year, you should be developing strategies to prepare for the SAT or the ACT. You might end up taking a standardized test in the spring of this year, but if you do, remember that it should really just be for practice. As you gain more knowledge as you grow up, your score will probably go up. So expect it to be higher if you take the exam in junior year. And then lastly, tip number 5 is to start visiting colleges and creating your college list. Now, here in sophomore year is a time when you should really start to think about where you want to go to college. While you might have your eye on the most selective schools, you should also be seriously considering factors like location, size, specialty, and student body. You should also start visiting schools to get that feel for what you want in a college. Think about whether you can picture yourself there and if you fit into the common student archetypes. Build the first draft of your college list. Of course, it will not be final, but it will give you an idea for the direction of your final list. Remember to include a blend of safety, middle, and reach schools. And of course, remember that you'll revise it later. Now, our final question for today comes from Peter, who wanted to know, if I want an extra set of eyes on my college essay before I submit it, who are some of the best people to take a look at it? This is a really interesting question. Thank you, Peter. College essays are one of the most important elements of your application, and so you're spot on when you're thinking of having an extra set of eyes to review it. We at CollegeVine estimate that essays make up as much as 25% of an admissions decision, which is pretty significant. So we recommend that you definitely proofread and edit your essay yourself, and then also reach out to a key few people to give you some feedback. The first thing to do is probably to read your own essay out loud. It might seem silly or a waste of time if you've read it so many times that you've memorized every word, but reading it out loud, just in your room by yourself, can reveal a different side of the essay. Listen to the pace, the language, and the tone. Does it flow well? Are there parts that seem awkward when you're actually reading it out loud? Reading out loud is a smart first step once your initial draft is complete. Read it out loud, give it one final polish if any parts seem a little awkward once they've been read. The second step is to have a friend or a family member give it a look. Keep in mind that this should be a person with a really solid grasp of spelling and grammar and semantics. If none of your friends or family members seem like a fit for those requirements, consider a mentor like a boss or a coach. If no one stands out as next in line, don't worry too much. There are a few other lines of defense. Once you're certain that your essay is free of kind of the most basic spelling and grammar errors, it's a great idea to actually have a professional read through it. That might be your English teacher, it might be your college counselor, or it could be a separate college essay editing service. Here at CollegeVine, we have a complete essay editing service, including free essay guides, tips, and a free essay review. So visit our website at www.collegevine.com/editing to learn more about all of the essay editing services that we personally have to offer. Thank you to the 4 of you who submitted questions for this week. Hopefully these answers were helpful not only for the 4 of you, but for everyone else listening. If you have a question that you want answered in a future Q&A, remember to drop that in the comments below this video and we will try and get to it next week. And don't forget that if you're looking for free guidance on your essays, your college applications, and strategically planning for the admissions process, visit us at app.collegevine.com and sign up for a free account. Until we see you there, we will see you soon for our next Q&A.